Is this for me?
It is.
Oh, thank you. Just looking for water.
Going to kick things off. Fabrice, the team was able to train at the stadium today. What do you think of the training session, just generally preparations for Friday's game?
Yeah, look, obviously the excitement's building. Nice to be in your own stadium, just kind of get a little bit acquainted. But no, overall the energy's really good. So yeah, we're excited. We're excited.
Describe the intensity of the team, not just today, but in generally as you guys navigate preparations for the match here on Friday.
Yeah, they know that's been one of the non-negotiables at the start of the season is how we train in terms of that intensity. And I think they've really took it in stride. And every day we're out there. I mean, I know we had a few people from the Houston area, local leaders and youth players coming out, and hopefully they were able to see that. So that's something we're excited about. That's our MO and what we do. So yeah.
Thank you for that. We'll take questions here in the room and then transition to soon.
That trust that you were talking about building at the very beginning when you got here, how's that going?
It's going well. It's going well. And as we all know, trust takes time. You know, we can all sit here and say, oh, you got to trust in this, but no, it takes a lot of time. And so I've been very pleased with where we're at. I think we need to continually, obviously we haven't had a first game of the season yet. So I think that's just going to continually take time as we obviously have positive performances, obviously continuing growing in our connection with one another in our work rate. So yeah, but I'm very, very pleased with where it's at.
Dynamo lost a key defender. We have replaced a key defender. How do you avoid getting into the trap that they're in right now with the discombobulated back?
Yeah, I would say I've been very pleased with our defenders. I mean, we got some tough decisions to make, which is a good thing for a coach this weekend because of the competition level is really, really high. And so that's one thing I've noticed in the group is how competitive each position is, almost having 1-2 deep in each spot, which makes it hard for a coach, but really good for the team. And so very confident going into this game that our back line will be ready to go for sure.
No, this was. Coach, what's the first thing you want to see today, like people see from your team this weekend?
Good question. I'm hoping that our identity will really shine, and without us telling you what that is, you'd be able to see what that is. That is a hope of mine. I not only a hope, but a belief. And I think the other thing is how they compete for one another, how they press, how they work. And so that's something that before anyone even says anything, that is just very obvious in terms of those two things, in terms of how we play.
Can you provide an update on Diana Ordonez's health? How close is she from actually in a game?
Yeah, she's following the protocol and she's like right up to date in terms of where we have her. So we could see her maybe in a few weeks, but yeah, she's right up to date in terms of the protocol and where she's at.
Thank you. Coach, Luis alluded to the style of play, the game model. There's so many terms that can be used. I know it's your first match.
Mm-hmm.
Fans and media alike should expect the team that's, again, playing attractive soccer, whatever words you might want to use. I imagine it's a team that's prepared for different scenarios, right? It's not just one way. You've got to adapt to the situation, the opponent, etc.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think you'll see there's a real intent in terms of what we want to do to the opposition to then create really areas to really go. So for us, it's not just about possessing, it's really progressing. And when we find those moments, the belief and the knowledge is that you're going to see a change of tempo. A change of tempo. When we get it to one area, we're going with all our numbers, attacking football. If we lose it, making sure our structure is good so that we can win the ball back again. But it's very much on the front foot.
Jane Campbell, coach, I think she's not only a long time base of the club. Talk to us about her preparation going into this first match, your first match as a head coach.
Yeah, look, I mean, she's a leader. I mean, she's a leader. Her one thing that has been very obvious is her standards for herself, and that pushes the standards for everyone else. And it's someone I really respect, and I think she's been really, really good for the group. And so I think in terms of, you know, how she communicates with the back line, how her leadership helps us defensively is really key. And I think for her is we've had a lot of conversations and she's really bought in and really like excited. And so I'm excited to have her, you know, help lead this group as well.
coach, how easy or how hard has it been to take the reins of a team that hasn't had a steady head coach for a while now?
Honestly, it hasn't been hard in that regard. Now you have to be on top of things and you have to, I think how you lead is a reflection of how you lead yourself. And so I think we talked about standards with Jane, when you have standards for yourself, you're also expecting that of everyone else. And so it's not necessarily like something that has to be fabricated. It's just coming organically. And so, I think if anything, people are a lot more humble when they've had, let's say, poor years of playing. So they're a lot more eager to be open with open ears and open hearts to really like, okay, what are we trying to get here? And I think that's been really refreshing and very rewarding, because I think the players have been very open to growing, and they want to be pushed. They want to be kept to a high standard. And it's been really exciting because every time we set the standard, we say, hey, maybe that's not good enough. They rise, they keep rising, they keep rising. And it's been fun so far. Absolutely.
And as far as if you had the perfect game, obviously you'll be winning. But besides that, what would make the perfect match for you?
Yeah, we talk a lot about performance over results, and we want to make sure that our performance are reflective. We have certain like KPIs that are really important, but I alluded to a little bit where it's not just possessing the ball, it's how are we progressing? How are we progressing? And then defensively, are we preventing them from creating really key chances? And so there's certain KPIs that reflect that, but for me would be defensively very sound, and then offensively really creating a lot of chances, playing through the lines, and yeah, having some fun.
Alrighty, we'll go to Zoom here. Brad, go ahead. After that, we'll go with Theo, Dustin, and I believe we have another individual who has their hand up, but we'll start with Brad. Go ahead.
Yes, hi, Coach. How are you? Brad from WBB Nation and W Swish. There's a new makeup to the team this year. 7 new additions, but 5 of them have had NSWL championship experience. How is this team gelling, and these contributions from these big type players? How do you see that going forward this season as a positive?
Yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah, it's been really good. Like I said earlier, there's been a very refreshing outlook from the players as a whole, and I think part of it is maybe previous performances in previous years or previous experiences, but also a new set of players coming in. It's kind of, you're almost creating not a new team, but the club has been around, but there's this very organic, like, hey, we all want to learn, we want to be open, but it's been seamless, to be honest. It's been really, really seamless. I think the camaraderie and the culture has been excellent. You could really see there's relationships being formed from new and from old. So honestly, it's been seamless, and I'm excited to see what this new team looks like this year.
And speaking about Liz Beardsley, she was a pre-roster invitee. How is her game going, and what are you looking from her?
Yeah, look, she's been great for us. She's been a huge addition in terms of training, and obviously the recent announcement. So she's someone that's gonna, push our keepers forward. She's super humble, gritty, works hard, and has a lot of tools as well. So we're excited for her and her future.
I thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Theo, go ahead.
Hi Fabrice, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Very excited for the return of football on Friday night.
So,
I got 2 questions. One of them is more club related, but definitely I want to hear your voice on it, which is what is the target for this season as a whole, not necessarily just Friday night, like come last week of October, where do you want this club to be?
yeah, it's something we opened up with at the beginning of the year in the opening press conferences. Obviously, making playoffs is one of them, but what we said earlier is to go beyond just that. It's just having a real standards-driven culture and having a real team identity. And so, obviously, if you want to say it from a metric standpoint, that would be one. From an actual plain identity, we want to dominate the opposition in how we play, and so that's really, really important. And layering that in, that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, and I've seen a lot of glimpses of success with it. That gives me a lot of belief and confidence going in. But those would be kind of the couple things there for you.
Love that. And last one for me, just from day one, right? That first preseason training to, I guess, tomorrow, which will be your last one. What is or today, what was the biggest change you saw, the thing that you were pleased with most that this group had taken on?
I have to say, like, especially when you look at our in possession and how we want to build and our structure, like I've been very impressed with how quickly they have gotten on and how quickly, I mean, I feel like every session we're layering something new or we're building off something that was layered in, and they're just like sponges. They're sponges. And yeah, and I think it's a reflection of all the work we're doing every session, every technical activity, every positional possession game, like all those things. But yeah, I've been really impressed with all the information that they've been able to take in and actually implement and execute.
Thanks so much. Good luck on Friday.
Thank you.
Justin, go ahead.
Hey Fabrice, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. We touched on this in your last press conference, but just wanted to know if you had an update on Evelyn and Ramona. I know they came back late in the preseason, just where they are at this point going into Friday.
Yeah, look, they've come in. I think it's been about a week, 2 weeks, but they've done well. I think the biggest adjustment for them is the intensity of training, and so just getting used to that. But obviously, you could tell their quality very early on what it is, and so I think they'll be great additions for us. I think it's important to make sure we don't rush them, and I think it's important to make sure they're at full health and getting a rhythm before we actually throw them in a game. But yeah, no, very, very, very pleased with their progress so far.
And then just on Friday, Washington, one of the best teams in the league. We just saw them win the Challenge Cup. How big a challenge is this for you guys? Your first game at home, you get a team like Washington. How big is that for your team coming out?
Yeah, look, there's so many different ways to look at it. I actually love that we're playing a team like Washington on the first day because it's going to set us up for the future, and especially the early on games of just like, what it takes to be successful in this league. And so we're looking forward to the challenge. We're going in with humility, but with confidence going into this game.
Thanks, Fabrice.
Thank you.
Ready? Blake, go ahead. We've got you on mute. We don't hear you. There we go.
Hey, Coach. This is Blake Bradauer from W Swish. What is your personal coaching philosophy, and how do you plan to implement it with the team during the season?
So holistically, we talked about you can't build off performance if your culture's not right. So that's something that we harped on from the get-go in terms of our standards, how we show up, how we train, how we treat one another. And so what you find is all that kind of filters through in terms of how we play. But I think kind of what I alluded to earlier is intensity is a cornerstone of what we do. And for you to play in a way that seeks to impose how you want to play on the opposition, you have to train with intensity. So I think the first piece overall would just be the intensity of what we do. And like I said before, without giving too much, I would say it's not about just possession. It's about possessing to progress. It's about, how do you manipulate the opponent to create, advantages against the opposition. And then obviously defensively, making sure our shape is sound and tight and we're preventing them from playing through us or around us. So.
And another question, sir, how do you see the NWSL landscape evolving during the season? What challenges do you expect the team to face?
Could you be more specific about what challenges you think? Because you said NWSL, so I'm just curious if there's something in particular you're speaking to.
Just like the league landscape, how do you think it was? What do you expect the league to face with all these new expansion teams and all those? Just to be specific.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you grow number of teams, obviously the talent continues to spread, but it also gives opportunity to bring talent from overseas. So for me, I would say first and foremost, it's an opportunity. And I think if anything, because there's more parity, you have to be, because it's more equal, I guess you could say, you have to be really good with kind of the group that you have, and so I think for me, if anything, it's challenging, which is fun. That's exciting, and that's one thing. I think it's obvious. It's one of the most, if not the most competitive league in the world, bar none. So I think if you can compete at this level in this league, you have a very, very good shot of competing anywhere else in the world.
Thank you, sir.
We'll go to Rudy, then we got one here from Chris as well. Rudy, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing all right. Just I guess a question regarding, this is officially you taking charge of the Houston Dash on the head coaching side. But what is your message, to the team heading into this game? Obviously a home opener, just beginning the season altogether. But what is that message to the team?
First and foremost, I would say there has to be a belief, and belief is not just blind belief. It's based off the work that we've done. I think they all know how hard we train and how much we try to layer. And I think if anything, every session, one thing we talk about is like living in struggle and being okay with it and just battling through it. And I think when you can do that from a training standpoint, it makes it a lot easier in the game standpoint. So yeah, I mean, those are a couple things, but we should have belief and confidence in who we are and what we're building. So moving into this first game.
Sure, and then just my follow-up would be obviously just me and Ryan and Jen Campbell reintegrated from the national team. Just what is the expectation on their impact, especially coming into this game, fresh off a national team camp?
Look, their expectation is for them to do what they do. And that's as simple as that, and lead and play the way they lead. I think it's really important when you're talking about national team players is not over coaching, obviously observing, watching tendencies, and then helping where they need to be and how they can level up. But they're there for a reason. And so I think for them is they should come in with confidence and play their game and add value where they can in the spaces that, we want to exploit. So yeah, I mean, for me is be them, their authentic self.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Is there any significance to the jersey swap, number swap things, and how, we'll go ahead and go there.
So you're saying players changing jersey numbers? Yeah, I mean, that probably is just I don't know the story necessarily always behind it, but I think it's just a personal preference and go from there. Yeah.
All right, everyone, thanks for jumping on. We'll have this video and additional items available later today. In addition, we will have another availability tomorrow. Maggie is confirmed for that, and we'll try to get one more player for that as well. Some more to come on that as that's finalized. Thanks again. Talk soon.